Hey guys, Patriot coming to you from the desktop with another flashlight review. This one's going to be on the Nitecore SRT7 or SmartRing Tactical 7. This is Nitecore's newest light and the first of a series of 4 models, the others being the SRT6, the SRT5, and the SRT3. The SRT3 will actually be able to use a AA cell along with a single CR123 cell, so it's a little bit different in that lineup. But the 7's the first out, and I wanted to review it first. I don't know if I'll be reviewing all of the lights, but I certainly wanted to review the 7 because it's the most powerful in the lineup, and I'll probably like to get my hands on the SRT3 when that's available. Those should be following here shortly. A couple of finishes will be available on this light. The first is this police black, and the other is called military gray. The black was the first available, so that's what I ended up with. The SRT7 is both revolutionary and evolutionary. It's evolutionary in that it's not the first flashlight that incorporates a ring like this, a magnetic ring, to cycle through the different modes. But it is the most powerful flashlight to date to use this type of system, close to 1,000 lumens, 960 to be exact. I think the previous high SmartRing light was right around 500 lumens, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it's about twice the brightness of any other rheostat type or infinitely variable adjustment ring light like this. It's also evolutionary in that it's using CREE's newest XM-L2 LED emitter. All the previous Nitecore lights used a standard XM-L emitter. This one is going to be more efficient and have higher luminous flux. So there was actually a limited run out there of the EA4 with the XM-L2, but that was through a single distributor, and this is the first widespread, widely available XM-L2 light from Nitecore. The SRT7 also isn't the first light that uses multicolor LEDs in front for different purposes. You can see a little picture on the box with the different color LEDs. It's white light, of course, out of the XM-L2 emitter, blue, green, and red, and I'll be showing those to you here shortly when we start going through the user interface. You can see here some of the stats on the light: 960 lumens, at lowest level about 200 hours. That's based on a 2600 milliamp hour battery according to Nitecore. Obviously, if you're using a higher capacity, you'll get more runtime. 308 meters, I always convert that or cut it in about a third to get a realistic measurement of distance or throw, so call it 308 feet. You'll also see on here that the throw is rated at 23,256 candela. That's a little bit higher than the EA4 Pioneer over here. That is also an extraordinary thrower for its size. Always been impressed with that light. It's also drop resistant to 1.5 meters and water resistant to a depth of about 2 meters according to FL1 standards. The SRT7 is sort of revolutionary in that it combines so many features, new features, on a single platform. We've got the RGB LEDs, we've got the XM-L2 LEDs, and we've got Nitecore's latest SmartRing technology on the light. So there might only be maybe 2 or 3 lights in a single given year that really break that kind of new ground, and so I'm pretty excited about the SRT7. I've had it for about 24 hours now. That's actually part of the problem with doing reviews right up front, you know, trying to get that brand new light that came out on the market and get it in front of the camera right away. But over time, I suppose that I'll find more things about this light, but right now I'm going to tell you everything that I like about it, everything that I don't like. Let's go ahead and have a nice close look at it for starters. You can see the machining is real nice on this light. We'll talk about this little LED here shortly. You can see it blinking right now. Talk about what that does. You can see these big blocks with the knurling on them. The smart ring here, or the mode selection ring, is nicely knurled, and it's got some knurling on the tail cap. You can see also on the tail cap we've got a little lanyard attachment point, one on each side, standard clicky on the back, business end with a reflector, nice smooth polished reflector. Usually I take a little bit of time getting to the user interface, but let's go ahead and cover that right up front because I know you guys are eager to know exactly how this works. Let's start with this little standby light here. You can see that this blinks every 2 seconds, and it's basically saying the battery's in, the switch here is activated, and it's in standby mode. So if I go any direction, either right or left with this ring from its neutral position, the light will do something. So if I turn it on to the right, it's going to start with the lowest mode. As I increase, it's going to increase till high until it hits a detent. There's a detent right there. Return it back to the neutral position, and you can see it's in standby again. If I click off the tail cap here, it's no longer in standby mode. So that's a little bit different from the TM26, where anytime you have a battery, or the P25 or any of the other lights, when there's batteries in the light and you close the tail cap or you screw on the battery tube, it's activated, it's in standby. This one, even though there's a battery in it, requires the switch to be in the neutral position and the tail cap to be activated. Alright, let's go ahead and start way over on the left side of the ring. So if I turn the top of the ring this direction, it's going to stop here at the far left. You can see right now this is a beacon mode. If I go one click stop to the right, it will give me that cop light flashing red and blue LEDs. You can see that here from the front end. Obviously, most of the time that's going to be prohibited from use in a motor vehicle, but check your laws before you use that mode. If I turn one more notch to the right here on the smart ring, it will go into constant blue. Another notch to the right, constant green. Another notch to the right, constant red. And then we go into that neutral position, and then from there we go into the lowest mode of the LED, which is about maybe 1.5 lumens, where we get about 200 hours of runtime. If I keep turning to the right, you can see it gradually gets brighter, brighter, and it hits a detent or a stop, and that is its highest mode. 960 lumens for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's on a 2600 milliamp hour 18650 battery. If I go one more stop to the right, that will be its maximum travel, and that is strobe mode. At any time I can click the switch off, and it will obviously retain whatever mode that the ring was left on. So if I turn this back on, right to strobe mode. So if you're in law enforcement or something and you want to be able to access instant strobe mode, just turn that all the way to the right, hit that, and it's in strobe mode. Let's say you just want to be in high. First time you turn it on, click to the high detent, which is one detent to the left from the farthest right position. Turn that on and you go immediately to high. Let's say you like low mode. Okay, I'm going to rotate left all the way to low mode, come up just a little bit. When I turn it on, we are already on low mode, pretty close to it. If I turn the light back off, first time I turn it on, of course, it retains it wherever that ring is set. Let's say you're a pilot and you're up doing some flying and you need to look at your sectional or something. If I turn it to one notch to the left here from the neutral position, I get those nice red LEDs, kind of reminiscent of the famous A2 Aviator by Surefire. You can see this also has the red LEDs. Slightly different color there. These are a little bit more amber, whereas the L2 is a little bit more red. Great light. You remember those? I've got, I guess I've got 3 of these still. One white, one green, and this one's red. Great light. Regulated incandescent beam. So just to recap on this, because it can be a little bit confusing, when it's in standby mode, it's going to blink every 2 seconds to let you know that you're in standby, that you've got power, it's ready to go as soon as you turn that ring either direction. When you're running the light, when that blinks every 2 seconds, it lets you know that you're at less than 50%, and then finally when you're below 20%, it will flash rapidly and let you know that you're running pretty low. Alright, let's go ahead and take the tail cap off of this. Nice smooth threads, by the way. Everything came lubed, which is nice. I've got a low capacity 2300 milliamp hour cell in there. I was just wanting to kind of test that and see how it performed. Those are not square cut threads, but they are very smooth. Of course, they're anodized. One O-ring on there. And I can also unscrew the battery tube from the head. And you can see again, real nice threads. These are flat cut threads, or square shoulder threads. Nice machining throughout. No debris. No dust from the factory was in this light. Everything seems to be really clear. You can see they've got some Nitecore or some kind of a silicone on there. So it looks like the light is ready to go. And as you'll see in the waterproof testing, it did really well. On the head end of the light, you can see this little positive terminal right here. This is actually on a spring. This is technology carried over from the P25, Nitecore P25. Same system on that. And that just gives you a little bit of shock absorption. So when this light is dropped or something, it's not going to flicker when the battery jumps contact. Now, one thing that you might note about this is because this is recessed, this little positive terminal on here, it's not going to work with flat top 18650 cells or even large button 18650 cells. So you're going to have to go with a small button like this, which is becoming pretty much standard these days. I always like the small button cells. There's an Eagle Tack, another with the another cell with a small button on it. This is typically what I run in my lights. All right, let's go ahead and button this thing back up. My hand is through the legs of the tripod, my arm I should say, so hopefully I'm not bumping it too often. Have to kind of contort my arms to keep it in frame. Alright, let's go ahead and show you the beam profile on this. This light has a very smooth beam. Doesn't have a lot of artifacts or anything in it. We'll get it to its lowest mode there. And you can see a little clover right in the middle. As you back up, of course, all of that's going to blend together. And I'll slowly turn it up here for you. You can see it's a pretty smooth transition from the hot spot to the outside of the light here. Real nice spill. It's actually very similar to the EA4. I would say that the EA4 has a little bit more definition here between the hot spot and the spill, so there's a harsher line. With this one, I'm guessing it's because of the missing area, the missing reflector for those little RGB LEDs, so it tends to soften things up a little bit. In some ways it kind of smooths the beam. Alright, let's go ahead and look at the red pattern here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Hopefully that's showing up as red. See how it's kind of got that tri-sided thing going on? It's not a real smooth beam. Red is the least bright of the three colors. Here's green. You can see a lot of artifacts there in the beam. Just the nature of a little RGB LED in the way that the light passes through the little poly lens. And there's our blue. You can see a very distinct pattern to it. Kind of a hot spot there in the middle. So not a smooth beam from these LEDs by any means, but I just don't think that it's possible to do that. In use though, I really don't notice it. Sitting here on the desk, of course I do, but walking around the house at night, I really don't notice it at all. Obviously you can look up what these different colors are good for. You know, if you're using the red LEDs, it's going to be good for preserving night vision. A lot of hunters will like the green to kind of get out to their tree stand early in the morning. Animals, at least it's reported that they're not very sensitive to the green wavelength of light. I'm not sure if that's actually the case or not, but a lot of hunters are using the green LEDs to get to and from their tree stand or to get to where they're going first thing in the morning. And then the blue has its own functions. Alright, you saw the SRT7 sitting with the other Nitecore lights, and you can kind of get an idea of how big it is, how tall it is. Here it is next to the EA4. Obviously it's longer than the EA4, but overall dimensions, you know, the tube on the EA4 is quite a bit bigger. You can see here on the front of the light that they use the exact same head size, and it appears to use the same stainless steel bezel ring as well. Identical from the front. These lights in person seem to throw about the same amount of light. Perhaps there's a slight edge going to the SRT7, but they're really close. By the way, we'll be showing some beam shots at the end. If you're impatient, just go there, fast forward there right now. Let's show you the EC2. You can see how short a single 18650 light can actually be. The SRT is going to be a little bit longer just because it has a tail switch built into it here, so there's more length there, and that big head is just a lot deeper, capable of a lot more throw. Obviously this is an XPG LED light, this being an XM-L2. Show you the Phoenix PD32 Ultimate Edition. This is a pretty long light. It's got this switch up here in the head. It needs a little bit more space, plus it has a clicky tail cap on it. One of my favorite lights, just a really nice EDC light. Lots of lumens out of that. Here's another light that I actually used to carry, and this is the Xeno G42. Pretty conventional size for a throw light. This one's an XPG. You can see how small that LED is in there as compared to the XM-L2. Higher throw out of the G42, as you'll see in the beam shots. So as far as an XM-L LED with an 18650 that's a throw light, you can see that it's not really big. In fact, it came in a little bit smaller than I thought it was going to be. Such was the case with the TM26 and the EA4. Virtually every light that I've seen from Nitecore lately, they're really doing a nice job on keeping these packages pretty small. And this one looked a lot bigger to me in the pictures, but as you can see, not a huge light. Kind of follows the old pattern of the early TK10, TK11, that series. You know, all of these lights are going to look very similar just because you have a battery tube of a given diameter out of necessity for the power supply that you want to run in it. And then if you want to attain a certain candela or a certain throw, the head and reflector are going to be similar depth and diameter. So a very standard size for this type of light. I will be eager to get my hands on the others just to see how they compare as far as carryability. Speaking of that, this light does come with a case and some other accessories. So let's kind of back out for a second here. We'll show those to you. You can see this fits down in the case. This is a very standard case for Nitecore now. All of their lights have this kind of pass-through design here where the tail is exposed. It's going to take some scratches and it's going to take a little bit of wear and tear here on the end, but you know, if you use it like a work light, that's just how it works out. Obviously you can put this in a full case of some type, a little Maxpedition pouch, but I've got no problem with this case. It does have a Velcro backing on it here, and the light does have to be seated all the way in order to get this full contact from the Velcro here. If it's poking up a little bit, it doesn't reach. So you do have to push it all the way in. One thing I did notice is it's kind of tight around the control ring here. So when this is switched on, I'm actually changing modes inside of the case just by spinning the light. So it's squeezing on that ring right there, which a lot of people will ask, you know, what about that ring? Is it a point for accidental activation? Well, not so far. I haven't found that to be the case. It has enough resistance on it, so if, let's say I'm on a high, let's just go high detent right here. When I'm on this high detent, actually I better go to one of the colored LEDs. If I, drag it across my finger here, it's not changing modes, and I'm right on the switch. I'm pushing down a little bit on it. Now I'm pushing down pretty hard. Okay, there I got it to roll, but you really have to put some pressure on it. So I guess that accidental activation is possible, but so far in carrying it, I've been carrying it with the switch engaged, which is standby mode here, and I haven't had it accidentally turn on yet. And I've been carrying it around in my pocket. Usually I've had this in my back pocket like this, and with the head sticking up above. I find the head's a little bit fat. Here's another accessory that it came with, this little clip that snaps on here. Usually I'm not going to carry a flashlight with a head this size down in the bottom of my pocket, so I probably won't be using that. It also comes with a little lanyard right there, the standard Nitecore lanyard. Same thing is on the EA4 over here. Seems to be a pretty good lanyard. It's got a couple of O-rings and an extra tail cap boot, or tail switch boot, and it's got this little detonator style grip. So what you would do with this is remove the tail cap, pop this on over the O-ring, tighten this back down, and now when you're using the light, you can pull against this in kind of a cigar grip. I've never been a fan of these detonator style switches. I don't typically use them. I don't like how close, especially as the head of the light in the forward area gets heavier, it feels a little sloppy and unstable. I'm holding a lot of weight, on that bottom finger with that head out there. So, I typically just squeeze the light up here like this and use it like this without the detonator ring. So I just don't find that I need that to gain traction on the tube in order to use it in the cigar style method. So probably be something I don't use. So you can see it actually fits into the little grooves on the tail cap and hangs with the tail cap. So it just clips right in there like that. So if you want it, you can use it. I typically find that it's too close to the switch and doesn't give me enough spread on the light. If I use it like this, I find it a lot more stable, just to choke up all the way as far as I can go here behind the switch. So I don't need the traction from that. And by the way, if I don't quite sound myself tonight, it's because I just got done with a 30-mile mountain bike ride tonight, and I'm a little bit tuckered. The heat was a factor tonight, so just got some dinner in me and trying to finish up this review to get it out to you guys. Okay, a couple things going on with the introduction of this light. The SRT7 was actually ready to be shipped several weeks ago, almost a month ago actually, but they kind of held off on shipping this light due to some marketing reasons. They didn't want it to be too close on the heels of the EA8 and perhaps some of their other lights. And I don't know, it seems like a little bit of a funny marketing plan. Sometimes this just happens in the industry and you don't really find out about it, but there was emails getting passed around out there where it was clear that the light was ready to ship. So I was a little bit disappointed in Nitecore for horsing around with stuff there, but evidently they didn't want to hurt their EA8 sales. And what's kind of interesting about this whole thing is that they're really different lights. I mean, this one uses the stepped mode here, not a smart ring. They're both very similar in lumens, 900 compared to 960 in this one, but the throw difference and the size difference and the cells powering these lights are completely different. This is an 18650 or two CR123s. This is 8 AA batteries. So usually the crowd that's using 8 AA batteries isn't going to, it's not going to have an effect on the saleability of this light when another 18650 light comes out. I mean, the people who want AA lights are going to buy AA lights. I mean, these were accepted with huge response, the EA4, and the EA8 has done very well also. So I'm not quite sure what the little marketing schemes are there with the Nitecore, but I guess that's just the nature of this kind of stuff. So, you know, completely different light. Yes, they're the same overall lumen output, but the difference in throw is pretty big. But to get that throw, of course, you've got a much larger format. You could probably power this with 2 18650s instead of 8 AA's, but again, this is for the AA crowd. Still a great light, love it. You'll see this in the beam shots, by the way. You know, one of the other kind of goofy things, just on the small side with the SRT7, is the name. You notice that they gave this one the Revenger. I remember when people complained about the Caveman. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but I think Revenger is really weird, and it's probably just one notch less weird than the P25 Smilodon. I mean, that is just a goofy deal. So I don't even know why they give these things names, and if they do, they should probably consult with some of their Western distributors before they come up with stuff like this. Revenger? I'll never say that again outside of this review. It's just goofy. I don't know what the Chinese marketers think. If they just think that they can take a word like revenge, add an ER to it, and all of a sudden they've got a new word there. So I don't know. I think it's kind of goofy. It would have been a lot better if it would have been the Avenger. Yeah, SRT7 Avenger. That would have been good. In fact, if Nitecore would just stick to Allied World War II fighter names, Avenger, Hellcat, Corsair, Mustang, Lightning, that kind of thing, I think that they would have been on to something. So, I don't know. I think that they need a little help there coming up with their names. But other than that, those are just small issues. Any other things on the light? The tail cap, or the tail clicky back here, feels pretty good. I'm just comparing it to, I would say that the Phoenix actually has a little bit more positive switch, maybe just slightly less spongy. I don't really consider the Phoenix PD32 switch spongy at all, but this has got a little bit more sponginess feeling to it. Overall, it's pretty good though, compared to the Z40 or the G42 here. That's got a pretty good switch on it too. Yeah, decent switch. No real complaints there. On the smart ring side, I noticed that the travel isn't quite linear throughout the adjustment stroke here, or the adjustment turn. So as I enter the lowest mode here from the neutral position, and I keep turning it, you see that I actually get to a point here where it's as bright as it's going to go. And then as I turn it more, let me get that in frame a little bit for you. As I turn it more, it doesn't really get any brighter throughout this range right here. So you can see I'm turning the ring, and I'm not decreasing or increasing in brightness. If I go a little further, now you can see it come down, but about right there, and then it's got about that much dead space right there. It is very smooth, and the detents are very crisp, so I am impressed with the detents and the amount of tension required to turn it. I don't think I'd want more. I don't think accidental activation is a problem with this light. The head protrudes a little bit. It's got this ring behind it here, and as you can see, you know, even dragging on my finger with the knurling, it doesn't really come on. You know, I covered that earlier, but I really don't think that's an issue. But I don't think this is an issue either. I just noticed that there's some dead travel right there till I get to the strobe, which is, or that high detent. See how it's not decreasing? I have to go a little further right there, and then this is all dead space. So hopefully that shows up on video there. I would say that these are very minor things. I've got no major complaint with this light whatsoever. The LEDs seem to be bright enough. If that was another concern, you know, it's kind of what I expect. It's on par with the Aviator. In fact, it's brighter than the Aviator. There's a lot more light. It lights up a room really well, and the red is the dimmest of the two. Green is very bright, and the blue is quite bright as well. So I don't have any problems with the output. I think that was maybe there was a couple of concerns about that, of the colored lights. I mean, it is a specific use. Now, you know, there was some talk of people using just a standard emitter, single emitter, and, you know, foregoing all of this RGB stuff and using a diffuser or colored caps up here. Well, to me, that's far more impractical. You know, attaching caps up here, it just that's not something I'm going to carry around, is colored lenses for my flashlight. Nice to have everything all in one area here, be able to instantly, you know, go from white light to red light to green light to blue light. Even some flashing modes there, some strobes. This beacon is something that I'll use as well. I think that that's kind of a handy gig there. Of course, it came with an instruction sheet on it. You can kind of see here that it's showing the, let me zoom out a little. You can see here that it's showing the battery configuration. Down here it talks about Phoenix and using a 2600 milliamp hour cell for their testing. And runtime specs, you'll get more than that, of course, with a higher capacity cell. One thing that I've noticed up here, and you can read along with me or just pause it if you want, it says here, for user safety and to prevent overheating / failure, the SRT7 will automatically switch to high mode after 3 minutes of use in turbo mode. Slowly rotate the smart selector ring or press the tail switch again to reactivate turbo mode. Well, I'll tell you guys, I've messed around with this, you know, like 4 or 5 times now, and I haven't had this thing step down. Now, I don't know if this is just a continuation of directions, you know, maybe just generic directions that they've incorporated into the user manual here on the SRT7, but I'm not finding that this function works or operates on the SRT7 so far. So I'm going to try to give you guys a little demo here, if I can make it work with all these lights on. But I'll kind of show you what's going on here. Now, this light doesn't really have a turbo mode. I mean, you know, oops, sorry, I hit the camera. This light really doesn't have a turbo mode because, you know, it's just a low and then a high when you get to the high detent. There's it's not a stepped system like we had with the EA4 or the TM26 or the EA8 or the TM15 or the TM11. It doesn't have that step system to it. So I'm not sure what turbo mode would be on this. I mean, what's non-turbo mode? Just backing it off till you just see a little decrease? I mean, so anyhow, let me put a fresh battery in here. Let me see if we can get this thing blinking rapidly. No, I've still got too much juice in this battery. Let's go ahead and we'll throw in a 3400 cell, and we'll get the light meter set up here. We'll get the timer set up, and I'll probably have to condense a little bit of this for you, but give you an idea what's going on. And I wanted to show you me putting that 3400 milliamp hour Eagle Tax cell in there. I do like that cell. Okay. I've just got the cheapy light meter here, but hopefully this will work. You'll notice that this light does tail stand, so these ears here do stick out past the switch, which is really cool. Love that. I'm just going to activate this to see if... Okay, that's going to overblow it here. Alright, that'll work right there. So let's set this up here, this here. You can see the numbers. Let's get this in here. Alright. I'll turn that off for a second. And we'll try to get everything going here at the same time. Alright, so you can see we've got a base setting there of about 195, 196. And it's actually holding that pretty well. You can see it's not dropping yet. Regulation seems to be pretty good as long as you use a good cell. I noticed on the Nitecore 2300 milliamp hour cell that the sag was much more rapid, and I'm not really seeing that with the Eagle tack cell. Okay, so kind of flickering between 195. I mean, we're talking about 0.5% in output, so it's obviously holding pretty flat regulation there. It's just a cheapy light meter, but it is pretty sensitive. Usually when I use the timer on my phone, it rings or I get a text, so we'll see if we can get through a session here without that happening. You're on the highway, this will be turbo, or I'm going to call you on the site, it's called high, so you're on high, how do you get there? It wasn't quite at the detent, but now it is. You can see how sensitive that light meter is. If I just kind of move my hand in the area here, it changes here. So there we are back at our 196 setting. You can see it really isn't sagging. Alright, so coming up here in 3 minutes, remember, it's supposed to step down at 3 minutes. I'm going to get a temperature reading here at 3 minutes as well with this. Never mind that reading that you're seeing, it's just because I moved in the frame there and it changes the amount of light hitting that sensor. So you have to be really still when you're sitting in the room because it's pretty sensitive. Here we are coming up on 3 minutes. Let's watch that light meter. It should break from 196. 3 minutes came and went. Let's go ahead and get a quick temperature reading here. Just trying to find the hottest portion of the light. I'm guessing it's going to be right about there. About 106. Alright guys, here we are coming up on 5 minutes. I just want to show you, my phone went ahead and timed out there. Get that going back. Okay, just to show you that it's not the light meter, that it's actually very sensitive, I'm just going to slightly move my pinky into frame there. This is just me moving a little bit in the background. You can see if I just put my pinky, see how that number drops big time? Okay, and then if I back off and sit where I was, back to 196. So it's very sensitive. The light is not decreasing in output. And we're well past the 3 minute mark. So let's go ahead and hit 6 minutes, and I guess we'll just wait it out and do the 10-minute mark. I think there was some people doubting me when I told them that my EA8 didn't step down either, and virtually every EA8 test out there shows a step down. I don't know if I'm just having a fluke run of lights or what, but I think that it would be pretty weird if it was just me that was getting these lights that were not stepping down. One guy saw a step down very small, like 5 or 8% with the EA8. I mean, it might as well not even step down. It's such a small decrease. Let's go ahead and get a reading. Okay, we're about 116 right now. Doing pretty good. Ambient temperature in here is about 78 degrees. The light has no active cooling on it right now. Okay, now we're seeing some drop off. Finally. Okay, we're at 117 degrees. We finally saw a little bit of decrease there, but we're still talking 1 to 2%. So, very small drop off. So it could be that this has an active temperature circuit and it slowly throttles back the light. A fully active temperature circuit in this thing would be incredible. I might actually put a fan on it here in a second to see if that has an effect. The thing's holding amazingly flat. We had that little step down at about 116, 117 degrees. Okay, 10 minutes, guys. Let's get a temperature reading here. About 119 is our highest temperature. Just to show you that this light meter is working, I can move my arm and you can see that drop. Any position I change in the chair here at all, and you can see that right back again to 188 lux currently reading. Wow, the thing's actually climbing. Wonder if that's because the air conditioning kicked on. I'm going to put the fan on this thing for a second and see if we've got like a fully active temperature circuit going on here. Alright guys, I've got the fan on the light right now, a pretty strong fan. You can see that the temperature, or that the lux meter is actually climbing back up again. So it might be that they have a temperature regulation in this that gradually throttles up or throttles down the light based on temperature. The reason that I thought of that is because it started climbing when the air conditioning kicked on. And it's still climbing. So as this light cools down, the output's actually increasing. Okay, we're back down to 110, 107, right around 107 to 111, right around in there. But the output's actually stepping up. Again, we're talking about very small percentage. Yep. It's going back up, guys. So my guess is that they've got a fully active circuit in this, which is just totally cool. Yep, it is definitely climbing. I'm going to call it quits to this at about 15 minutes. Alright guys, I'm getting a little bit bored in ANSI here. We're coming up on 16 minutes. The point is, there is no step down on this light at 3 minutes, or at 5 minutes, or at 12 minutes, or anything else. It seems to have a active temperature circuit because when I put the fan on it and cooled it down, the output started to increase. It's always hard to tell exactly what's going on there because we're dealing with a little bit of voltage sag from the 18650 battery as well. But I imagine the Candle Power Forum crowd will find this kind of interesting, but for the rest of you, it's probably going to be like watching paint dry. So let's go ahead and wrap up the desktop portion here. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and sign off the desktop. As we do that, I'm going to tell you where you can go get this light. It's available right now at Predator EDC. They were the ones who actually donated this light for me to get in front of the camera for you guys to check it out. So, you know, they're definitely enthusiasts over there. They love flashlights. They all EDC flashlights. So they're always looking forward to a review when I get the review done because they're curious what I think of the light. So I'm going to give this one a big thumbs up so far. Obviously, again, I've only had it for 24 hours, but it's a fantastic light. If you use coupon code Patriot36, you'll get a 10% discount. So retail on this light is about 110 bucks. That'll knock it down into the 100 area. They also give you free shipping. Customer service over at Predator EDC is unparalleled. I really love those guys. I mean, they just do a great job. So get on over to Predator EDC, get yourself this benchmark light. To me, it is one of the benchmarks of the year. Again, like I said, there's only 2 or 3 flashlights that really make an impact in a given year, and I think this is one of them. It's just packed full of features, and it's just really works great. So I'm digging this little light. I think Nitecore did a great job on the technical aspects of this light. Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and drop the light in a fish tank here for a little while, and we'll leave it and see what happens. Alright, let's step away from this and we'll come back and check it in a little while. Alright guys, it's been about 45 minutes and we're still doing good here. Light's still working, no bubbles are coming out. So let's go ahead and give it a little bit harder test. That's a little bit better. It's so bright it was kind of whitening everything out there. We're completely underwater here. I don't know guys, that's pretty good. I clicked every switch, rotated it every direction. You know, it's not real deep, but I was spraying that water jet in every little crack and crevice that I could, so pretty impressed. Let's go check it on the desktop. Alright guys, back on the desktop here. Here's the light. Still wet. Let's get this off of here. Good up at the front of the light. Let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, just silicone in there. Doesn't look like any water got past the O-ring right here. The cell's completely dry. Inside the tube appears to be completely dry. Okay, you remember I was hitting this right here with the water jet, and there's no drops of anything in there. And the threads are not wet either. A little bit of wetness here on the other side of the O-ring, but nice and dry. So I would say that it passed the waterproof test with flying colors. We might throw it in the deep end of the pool a little later on for a follow-up review, but right now I'm going to give this thing an A+ there for water resistance. Alright guys, I hope that was helpful. We're going to move on to beam shots, but I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks for watching guys, appreciate all my subs, and thanks to the Candle Power Forums guys as well. Patriot out. Hey guys, Patriot coming to you tonight from a familiar location. If you saw the RC40 beam shot video, typically I would film at 100 meters with those larger format lights. Today we've moved into 70 meters, that's 70 meters according to the Leica LRF 1200 rangefinder, and we're just going to shine a few different lights up there on the wall so that you can see a couple comparisons, and with some other Nitecore lights and even another dissimilar light. So let's go ahead and get started. First one I'd like to show you just for comparison is the Nitecore EC2. I believe that this comes in right at about the 12.5 candela, 12,500 candela, and I'm going from memory there, so don't hold me to that. This is kind of an impromptu video because I received the SRT7 Nitecore tonight, so we're out here doing some beam shots. Let's go ahead and shine this down range, and I'm going to hold it and bump it up to turbo. And now we're looking in turbo mode. You can see that light does pretty good for as small as the aperture is. Lumens on this light I think is right in the 320 neighborhood with a lithium-ion battery. Fairly focused beam. In the right hand over here is the SRT7, and I've already got the control ring turned up to high, so let's go ahead and shine that downrange. Light is on high right now. Back to the EC2. A lot fewer lumens, 320 as opposed to 960. This is also an XPG light, so it's a smaller emitter, has pretty good throw for that size reflector. This is an XM-L 2 emitter, the newest, from CREE. Shine it up there on that roof line for you. Back to the EC2. Bump that up, make sure it's on turbo there. And I just wanted to throw in a couple of other Nitecore products. Okay, left hand is the Xeno G42. That's an XPG light with a larger reflector on the G42. So this light is going to throw further. It's about 350 lumens as opposed to 960. Make sure we're on high there. So you can see a nice tight focused beam on this one. I think this is in the area of 35,000 candela, so it's going to have more than the Nitecore SRT7, which is about 23,000 candela. Alright, let's go to the Nitecore SRT7. Still really good throw, but you can really see that 960 lumens talking. Does good at 70 meters. That's a doorway over there underneath that light. These lights are over here on the left side are really quite bright, by the way. Some kind of a sodium lamp. Okay, there's the XPG again. That's the Xeno Z42. SRT7. And you can see here's that infinitely variable beam. And then it clicks. I'm sure I would have been showing that to you on the desktop. And here's the two together. Alright, the next light on the menu is the Nitecore EA4, another Nitecore product. Great little light, awesome form factor. I really like this light a lot. You can see how short it is with those 4 AA batteries in there stacked side by side. And here's the Nitecore SRT7. Let's go ahead and shine these down there. This one's rated at 20,000 candela, so just slightly less than the SRT7, but they're virtually indistinguishable. Alright, here's the SRT7. A few more lumens coming out of this one. About another 100, approximately another 100 lumens out of the SRT7. Here's the Nitecore EA4 again. Great beam. I've never had any complaints with that beam. Nice and focused, usable, good spill. You can see out in front of the camera here. Here it is up on that roof line a little bit. Okay, back to the SRT7. You can see a little difference in color between those vertical pillars and the wall surround here. This part's like a brick and the upper portion is like a painted stucco. It's got a little bit of red in it. This seems to be slightly warmer than the EA4. My EA4 is a cool white EA4, not the neutral. There's the EA4. I'm not sure if that color difference is showing up there, but it is noticeable. Back to the SRT7. These beams are really close. They both have a good amount of spill, and here they are together. EA4 on the left side, SRT7 on the right side. You can definitely see that lower portion, that light section on the wall, a little bit warmer on the right side over there. Of course, we're kind of getting over into the sodium lights, so it is a little bit hard to tell when both are out there. So, I mean, to me, the throw is about equal. I mean, it's virtually indistinguishable. Alright guys, this next light here is in one facet. It's kind of unfair. This is the EA8 Caveman by Nitecore, and again with the SRT7. In one regard, they're very similar in lumens, 900, 960, close enough. But difference in throws, about 23,000 candela for the SRT7 as compared to 60,000 candela with that big large reflector in the EA8. So I just wanted to give you, I'll kind of show you or demonstrate how it is that a light that throws better can give the illusion of more lumens when actually the SRT in this case has more lumens. Alright, there's the EA8 on turbo. It really lights up that door over there. It's the first time that really got lit up, especially because there's already a good amount of ambient light over there. Alright, and here's the SRT7. Okay, obviously you can see a huge amount of spill kind of in this area. It's not really part of the hotspot, but really illuminates this area here. Alright, EA8. Much more dramatic step between the spill light and the hotspot. Back to the SRT7. Just a broader beam. Remember, the EA8's about 3 times the throw of the SRT7, but the SRT7's just a little bit more lumens, about 5% more lumens. And together, that's that illusion that I'm talking about. You would never guess that this light over here is brighter than this one, but the difference in throw makes it appear so. So most people, it depends on what the terrain is, but most people will think that a throw light, it looks more awe-inspiring. So you see the throw in the EA8 and you go, wow, that thing's incredible. But, you know, each type of use requires a certain type of beam. So if I was searching around back here, I'd probably go with the SRT7, especially for this little desert area over here. Let me show you. So the SRT7 just has a little bit wider spill area and a bigger break or bigger transition. The EA8, which I'm about to flip on, is a lot more focused, so it doesn't light up all the surrounding trees and desert right here. So if I was trying to find somebody or looking for something back here, I would take the SRT7. More lumens and more useful beam for this type of terrain. There's the SRT7.